Hey guys, Eric here, and today we are going to be reading Fire and Frost by Alicia Rades, Chapter 5. Again, I have gone too far in the book. Okay, Chapter 5. When I arrived back home, Sophie's car was gone. They must have gone to the shop to play cards, I thought. I never understood why they went there instead of playing at our kitchen table. There was plenty of room. I didn't fret on it too much. I knew it wouldn't take me long to get what I came for, but when I looked under the sink in the bathroom, I found nothing but an empty package. I must have taken the last pad this morning without realizing it, and I had used the last one in my backpack for volleyball practice. I stood from the sink wondering what I was going to do. I could ask Emma, but that seemed almost embarrassing. And I didn't want to just take her pads without asking. Plus, I knew Emma used tampons and I was not ready for that. Weren't they uncomfortable? I headed to the hall closet where we kept linens and extra bath supplies. No matter how far back I dug, there weren't any feminine products around. The gas station wasn't far. Maybe I could go pick some up. The plan seemed like a good idea until I remembered I didn't have any cash. Maybe Mom had some stashed away, but I was not the kind of girl who would steal money from her mother's purse. Besides, my mom probably had her purse with her. That left only one option. I would have to go to the shop and ask my mom for a few dollars. She'd have to find out eventually that I started my period. I might as well tell her sooner than later. The shop wasn't far from our house. It was only 3 blocks down to Main Street, and then a few more in the direction toward Emma's house. The gas station was on the corner. It would hardly take me out of the way. When I arrived at Divination, I wasn't entirely sure my mother was there. The lights were turned off. It seemed quiet when I cupped my hands around my eyes and pressed my face into the front window's glass, though I could see a faint light creeping out of one of the doors in the back. I headed around to the back of the building and tried the door. Sure enough, it let me in freely, as if it was willing me to join their girls' night. When I stepped into the hallway, I didn't hear the giggles and commotion that I expected from my mother and her two best friends. Normally, they'd be loudly bickering and accusing each other of bluffing while laughing hysterically, yet those weren't the sounds I heard coming at me down the hall. Instead, I heard a quiet humming noise that I couldn't place and smelled the faint scent of familiar aroma. I guess it was an incense or a candle of some kind, but I didn't know exactly what scent they'd lit. A sense of eeriness overcame me, and I was suddenly afraid of what I might find. I neared the door with the light shining around the corners. It caught me off guard for a moment. They wouldn't be in here, would they? I thought. That's the storage room, not the break room. Or am I wrong? What if they left the door unlocked by mistake and someone is robbing their storage room? My heart raced as I considered the possibilities. A shiver ran down my spine, and I felt a shift in the air. Still, my body sweated nervously. I considered turning around and fleeing for a moment, but I was too curious to turn anyway. What would I do if there was someone else in here? In here, though. I would scream, I decided. I would scream and run as fast as I can. My heart pounded on the walls of my chest. reverberating through my ears and as I neared the door. I began to feel faint. I grabbed the handle with my damp palms and twisted softly, and then, in one quick motion, I whipped the door open. I just realized I'm at the bottom of the screen. My heartbeat slowed when I found nothing in the storage room but a bunch of boxes. I switched off the light and let the door fall shut with a click. Once I was back in the dark hallway by myself and ready to leave, the humming noise caught my attention once again. What was that? I followed the sound and pressed my ear against the door that led to the break room. I could hear muffled voices, but I didn't see a light under the door. Who was in there? The sound, I realized, was a woman humming in a stagnant note. We're here to help you, Sophie's voice rang over the humming. I didn't take a moment to consider what they were doing behind the door. Once I was sure it was my mother and her friends, I wasn't scared anymore. I had only a split second to take in the scene. The three girls sat in a circle around the break table, their hands conjoined as if in a prayer. Candles lit up their faces. Just beyond the table stood another girl with blonde hair and brown eyes. Olivia Owen's ghost stared back at me with the same look of urgency. Help, she mouthed, but I didn't hear any sound come out. The sight of Olivia lasted only a moment before the women jerked their eyes up at me in surprise and pulled their hands back, breaking their circle. Olivia disappeared. My jaw dropped. What is this? What are they doing? Olivia? I murmured before I could stop myself. Although I wasn't sure they could hear me, my racing heart returned and my fingers quivered against the doorknob. I felt hot and sweaty all over. At the same time, a chill overcame me. I was frozen in place and holding my breath. I am crazy, I thought. My mother smiled at me innocently, like I hadn't just walked in on some satanic ritual. Can I help you with something, sweetie? Oh, it's the washer. Sorry. I couldn't find my mouth to formulate my words. I stayed where I was. I was unmoving for several long seconds. As my eyes fixed on the empty space where Olivia stood only moments ago. When I regained my composure, I simply spat out, I need some cash. My mother rose from the table, grabbed her purse off the hook near the door, and led me out into the hallway. I'll be just a minute. It'll be just a minute, she assured her friends as she guided me out of the room. My whole body trembled and felt weak as I tried to make sense of what I had just seen. I knew what I had just seen, and I couldn't deny the fact any longer. I was crazy. Olivia's ghost. What was Olivia doing in my mother's shop? Could my mother see her? Did I imagine her? Were you? I spattered, unable to put my thoughts into words. Did they know Olivia was there? I couldn't quite understand what had frightened me so much. Was it the fact that I saw Olivia? Was it the fact that I saw Olivia? Was it the fact that I knew for sure I had seen Olivia at school the previous day? Or was it because I started believing I was going crazy? We were just meditating, my mother said. Meditating, I said without inflection, still trying to catch my breath. It helps relieve stress. Really? Meditating? Because it kind of looked like me that you were conducting a seance. But this kind of stuff is just for kicks. It isn't real, right? I tried to rationalize. I just need some money for pads, I managed to say almost normally. My mother smiled at me as if relieved. She reached into her purse and pulled out her wallet. Here you go. This should be enough. I grabbed the bill and thanked her before I turned back and headed toward the door. Have a good night, sweetie. She disappeared back into the break room. When I reached the back door, I paused for a moment and crept back to the break room. I pressed my ear against the door to listen. I don't know what she thought, my mother said. I mean, she can't know what's going on, right? Then again, she just started her period. Maybe there is still hope for her. Hope? Hope that I'd finally grow into my breasts and my hips, if only. If the gas station sat another block down, and when I went in, I used the extra money I had left over to buy a bag of chips. I knew I'd be late to Emma's. I was hoping this would be enough of an apology. I picked out her favorite, Old Dutch dilled pickled chips, even though I didn't really like the flavor. When I got to her house, I knew she was about to scold me for being late. I lifted up the bag of chips, and that was enough to make her squeal in excitement. I totally forgive you for letting the pizza go cold. I smiled back at her. And within minutes, my bad mood from the previous night, from the previous day, in fright of what I'd seen earlier, melted away. I felt completely comfortable at Emma's once we started gorging on pizza, soda, and chips. I was back to my normal self. Where's your dad? I asked, half expecting Emma's father to come around the corner and make a silly joke like normal. Her mother was sitting at the kitchen table going over some paperwork and ignoring us. Her younger sister, Kate, was in the living room, but their family didn't feel complete without John there. He's not here, Emma answered, as if I was supposed to know where he was. Oh, well, I thought. We spent the rest of the night tackling homework and goofing off in Emma's room while ignoring Katie's pleas to play with us. We don't play, Emma insisted. When we set Kate to watch a movie in the living room, she fell asleep almost instantly, leaving us alone upstairs to read magazines, listen to music, and try out different makeup techniques. Emma was great with makeup, whereas I had a difficult time putting on eyeliner. I was trying and failing miserably. I had to put on a dark line across my eye when Emma turned off the radio. What was wrong with that song? I liked it. Emma wrinkled her nose. I hate that song. Let's listen to some real music. She sifted through her sacks of CDs to find one she liked. Crap, I can't find the one I want. That was my favorite CD. Oh well, we'll listen to this one instead. You can pick something if you want, I sighed, finally giving up on my eyeliner. Emma returned to the mirror and began powdering her dark complexion. I switched spots with her and shuffled through her CDs, where I collected Owl Decor. Emma collected CDs. I recognized several that I'd given her from birthdays and Christmases in the past and ran my hands across the cases and read the artists' names. Suddenly, an idea struck. I stood up almost too quickly and fell back down at her open closet. She turned up. What? Oh. She turned to look at me in confusion. What are you doing? I didn't know how I knew, but I knew where she had lost her favorite CD. I threw clothes out of the way that she had let lay on her closet floor, the only part of her room that wasn't pristine, and flung myself deeper into her closet. I couldn't see what I was doing, but sure enough, my hand finally fell around the corners of a CD case. I pulled it out and looked at it in triumph. Is this the CD you're looking for? I asked, holding it out to her. Oh my gosh, she squealed. Yes, I don't know how it got there. Thank you. We ended the night by watching scary movies and falling asleep in her queen-sized bed around 4 in the morning. I woke up around 10 a.m. and checked my phone for messages. There was a text from my mom telling me to be home by noon because I had chores to do. After chocolate chip pancakes, I said goodbye to Emma and headed home. Thanks for staying the night, she said. I don't know what I'd do Friday nights without you. As I neared my house, the memory of the previous night at the shop came flooding back to the forefront of my mind. Did I really see Olivia at my mom's shop? How was that possible? I contemplated telling my mother about what I had seen in case I needed help or something. What if I started seeing other people like my dad? I was sure that would make me go crazy for real. And I needed someone to be there to support me when they put me on the straitjacket. When I entered the house, my mom was already preparing lunch. I'm not hungry, I told her. That's fine because I didn't make you any food. I figured you would have eaten already. I watched my mother set her grilled cheese sandwich on the table. It was charred in the middle, and how had she not learned how to cook yet? She paced back around the counter and pulled out one of the glasses from the drying rack. Should I tell her? I wondered. My hand shook and my stomach knotted as I tried to work up the courage to say anything. Mom, I managed. Yeah, she said as she turned from the sink and took a sip of water from her glass. I paused for a moment, unsure if I should admit I was going crazy, but in the next second, I knew I had to say it. I spat it out before I could stop myself. I saw Olivia Owen last night. My mother's eyes widened. Her jaw dropped, and the glass in her hand fell to the floor and shattered. Thank you guys so much for listening to this book so far, and I am so excited for all of you to listen to the rest of the book with me. And to be honest, this is my first time reading the book. I have the whole series, and I will read the whole series for y'all on this YouTube channel. And whenever we finish it, whenever we get closer to finishing it, I will start asking you guys to leave some book suggestions. I love all you guys so much, and I hope y'all appreciate me reading books to y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.